When we looked at the maps, I'm going to give you examples of maps here in a minute, and I guess I'll talk about race next. We don't look at race when we're drawing the lines to get equal population for council districts. We have to, we're told it has to be compact, it has to be contiguous. We certainly have to take into account whether or not we hurt any particular group. But I think it's interesting to take a look at what's happened in race population in the city of Peoria and see the changes that occurred. You can see that this is 2000, and there's been a decrease of 8% in white population. There's been an increase in the black population. And generally those are the only two that we talk about, but we also have to talk about the Asian and Hispanic populations, which have had significant increases. So there's really been a change. I told you before there's been a 3% increase in voting age. The white voting age population went from 75% down to 68%. The black voting age population went from 20% to 23%. We saw a significant increase in Asian population and also Hispanic. The Hispanic population nearly doubled. It's about 5% of the city now. So I'm going to show you three maps. You certainly can't see all the detail from where you're seated, particularly the people in the back. If you were here earlier, you knew to come up to front. But here's an example of 5 districts. All 5 of these districts, when you look at them, will have about 23,000 people in them, and there'll be a deviation of 5% one way or the other. And you'll see a little bit less in the 5th district from the 5% deviation, a little bit more in the 1st district. Here's an example of a map. This is map 14 if you're looking on the city website, of 8 districts. With 8 districts, we have a target of 14,376 for the population. And here is a map that has 10 districts, 11,500. During the public hearing, we heard several people comment that they thought the size of the council district was important to look at that in consideration of what is the best number. Is there any magic number of people that should be in a council district to be represented by one person? And does it make a difference in the quality of representation that's delivered or the access that someone has to their district council person if it's 23,000 for 5 districts, it's 14,376 for 8 districts, or it's 11,500 population for 10 districts. So those are the questions that the City Council will be deciding. How many districts? Should there be a change in cumulative voting? Should there be a change in the method of election of council members? And what they hope to do is to receive input from the public to help them make that decision and decide on what the next step is to go forward with. All the maps we've produced, and there's 18 maps, are all on the City Council or the city website. And with those maps, every one of them has a chart that has the percentage of minority population, the percentage of black population, and the percentage of voting age black population. So you can look at that. If you have any questions at all, you can always contact our office. We'd be glad to answer any questions. We have just reams and reams and reams of census data. We can show you how to get the census data yourself and give you the information that you need. Brad?
You have a question for Pat?
Yeah.
Okay.
On that map 18 that has 10 districts,
Yes.
do you know roughly the minority, how they're provided to vote? I know you didn't look at it in that sense, but how many of those districts could possibly elect minorities?
Okay, we did run a report, and this was a report on black voting age population over the age of 18 and over. And map 18, which is one example of 3 maps that we did, has 10 districts. And in District 1, which is right down here, District 1 then would have 22.33% voting age African American. If you want to compare that to 8 districts and the map that we showed, which did have the highest percentage of minority voting age, that would have 30% black voting age population. Now currently, because this is the question I anticipated, and I know you were at the last meeting and there was a lot of questions there that I simply didn't have the information for. Right now, in existing District 1, 1 out of 5 districts, the percent of African American voting age population is 37%. No, it would be twice that size. Okay, because remember, with 10 districts, you're at about 11,000 people. So that's just one district.
And what about comparing that? Is there a possibility of more than one minority in another district to get? Is the population high? Let's say in that green area there, that's East Bluff. What's the population rate?
We don't do any analysis on how many people we think would be elected. And typically we wouldn't do this level of breakdown as far as minorities and voting age, but because of the strong interest in that, we did that. And so for every map that we prepared of the 19 maps, we do have a breakdown not only by the population, but by race, also ethnicity, and voting age. And you can find that all on the website and draw your own conclusions. Joyce, I think you had your hand up.
Yeah. Was there an assumption that there would be maintaining the 10 council seats as opposed to having 12 or 8?
The question that she had was, there an assumption that there would be 10 districts? We've made no assumption. We worked with the committee and we were told to come up with 5 districts. And then during some of the discussion and a forum that was held at Bradley, the question came up, what if we had 8? What if we had 10? That wasn't our question. Okay.
Yeah, I guess my assumption is if there's 10 districts, there would be no at-large.
I have no assumption on that whatsoever. But I will tell you that if you look at state statutes, the size of population you have for the city tells you how many elected people that you can have. And that's a better question for Randy Ray, but we looked at that and we saw 10 was the maximum number.
You know, and I'm going to go over the survey in a second, Joyce, but it is an open-ended question. I mean, I think somebody at the last forum suggested that we go to 8 districts and 4 at large, and I suggested that if they thought that was a good idea, there's a place on the survey that I'm about ready to go over that you can lend any alternatives to the discussion. And I think Randy Ray commented at the last public forum that he felt from a legal vantage point, because of the way we're a home rule city, that we do have the flexibility to change the number. We're not mandated to stay with 10. So if the public input was overwhelmingly that we should go to 12 city council members and the city council went along with that, I think legally you could do that, if that's the answer to your question. Okay, let's give Pat Landis a round of applause. Thanks, Pat. And there was another handout back at the table that I hope all of you got. But one of the things that we're trying to do, and as Pat said, this is a coalition of groups, the League of Women Voters, the African American Leadership Alliance, the Chamber, and the Neighborhood Alliance. We really are, our goal is to just seek public input on this, to find out what the public sentiment is about whether we keep the current system or whether we look at some alternatives. So what I want to do is really quickly walk through the survey. It's real simple and real straightforward. If you look at the first question, it's just whether you believe keeping the current cumulative voting system to elect 5 citywide at-large city council members is the right way to go, yes or no. The second question is, would you favor creating 10 Peoria City Council districts with a one-person, one-vote system? Pat showed you just a possibility of what a 10-district map would look at, but again, I know many of you are very interested in the subject. I urge you to go to the city website and look at what the redistricting data shows, the census data shows. You don't have to fill out the survey tonight. If you feel like you need to do some more homework, you can do that online. Then the third option is, do you favor creating 8 Peoria City Council districts and 2 citywide at-large council positions using a one-person, one-vote system? The fourth would be, do you favor creating an 8-person city council district and 1 at-large council position covering districts 1 through 4, which would be the southern half of the city of Peoria, and 1 at-large council position covering districts 5 through 8 using a one-person, one-vote system? So what you would do is, again, break the city into 8 districts. Districts 1 through 4 would have 1 at-large person running in that territory, and then 1 for the northern half of Peoria. And then number 5 is just wide open. Do you have other suggestions, like Joyce said, of maybe 4 at-large and 8 district council positions? I know Pat sent the survey out to all the neighborhood groups and other community organizations. I know the league is urging their members through their newsletters and communications to fill out the survey. I guess I would just urge all of you to take the time to consider filling out the survey. You don't have to just check one. You may be open-minded to a couple different options. The bottom line here is we're just trying to get public feedback. This is an important decision. We're going through redistricting based on the census data. We just do this once every 10 years. It's a very important decision. And it could be that in the end we just stick with 5 at-large districts with cumulative voting and 5 district seats. But if there was an opportunity to look at this thoughtfully, to consider different options, this is the time to do it. And as Pat said, the time frame is we're supposed to report back to the council on November 15th with whatever public input we have, and then the council will have to decide if they're going to take any further steps. And one of those steps would be that they would have to go back to the federal court and get some direction from them. And ultimately, if the system was going to be changed, it would be the voters of the city of Peoria that would have to vote to change the system. So a lot of numbers. I think Dr. Aspin did a really nice job looking at this very carefully. I think the redistricting committee, I really appreciate the fact that you were transparent. I wish you could get the state of Illinois to be transparent with their redistricting process. But I think everybody's doing this in good faith. There is no clear-cut, easy answer, but I think it's an important discussion that we have as a community.